Hi everyone, welcome to my channel, and today it's episode 16 of Power Pop Shakers, and this is where I talk about Power Pop new releases and the odd reissue as well. If you go to my channel and click on playlists, you can listen to the tracks I'm talking about today. First up, I've uploaded two tracks by Slack Times, Carried Away and I'm Trying. They're a Birmingham, Alabama based band, and their sound reminds me of the early 80s Paisley Underground. In particular, those bands with jangling guitars and a sort of countryish twang as well. These tracks are taken from the vinyl album Carried Away on Marinato, and it gathers together their first two EPs and 6 new tracks as well. Next up, it's the Selwoods, and I've uploaded the track One Eyed Cat, and it's from their debut vinyl LP House Rockin' Party Tonight on Chaputa Records, which is a label based in Portugal. The band come from Portland, Oregon, and their Bandcamp page describes their sound as wild garage trash frat rock in the good old Northwest tradition, and they've clearly been listening to the Cramps. Next, I've uploaded 2 tracks by Mom, Scary Mary and Dreaming. I got excited about Mom a few months ago. They're from Malmö, Sweden, and they've perfected a slick guitar pop sound very reminiscent of the Cheap Trick in the late 70s. The track Scary Mary came out in June as a digital single alongside To The Beat, and they now have a digital EP out called Fun and Games, and that was released last month and it's available via Bandcamp. The new LP includes Dreaming, which is a bubblegum inflected upbeat guitar pop number, quite reminiscent I think of the Yum Yums. Moving on, we come to the track Todo al Revés by Los Imposibles, which I've uploaded to the Power Pop Shakers playlist. They're a long-standing Madrid-based band. I think they formed in the late 1980s. They've got an early 60s, very appealing sound, mixture of Beatles inflected and a touch of Bird's guitar in there as well. The track's taken from the vinyl LP and CD Escalata, which is out on Bickerton Records. Next track I've uploaded is Rise It Up by the CROOKS. They're an Italian band from Milan, and they started out in the 1990s. This is a digital single and features Kevin Preston from Prima Donna on vocals, and he was also part of the Green Day side project Foxborough Hot Tubs. This track's included on the vinyl LP Mediacracy, which is due out on the 28th of October on Marinato Records in Italy and ProRawk in the United States. The promotional material for the records describes it as being a concept album about the influence of social media. Moving on, it's the Straight Jackets and Fool Protection, and this track comes from their self-titled, previously unreleased album from 1980, and it came out last month on Straight Jackets Records. They hailed from Tampa, Florida, and there's lots of UK punk influences at play, but delivered with a real American attitude. I think if you like the Replacements, the Only Ones, the Purple Hearts, for example, I'm sure you will enjoy this record. And next up, I've uploaded the track Downtown by Uni Boys, and also their full album Do It All next week. This album finally came out on vinyl LP and CD on Curation Records in the last couple of weeks. I've been raving about this band for months. They have the look and, more importantly, the sound of classic late 70s power pop, and they've got it down to a T. They're based in Southern California, and influences come from bands like Milk and Cookies, The Scruffs, and obscure power pop 45s from the 70s. This is actually their 3rd album, but it's the first to be put out on a record label, and the first where they've really perfected their rock and roll chops. Album of the year, I think quite possibly it is. Greg Shaw of Bump Records would have worshipped this band, so it's fitting that it's come out on Curation Records, as the label owner Brent Rademacher got his start with Beachwood Sparks on Bump Records. Moving on, it's the track Danny Says by Doc Berner. Doc Berner is the alter ego of Paco Fernandez, and he's based in the rock and roll hotbed of Madrid. The romanticism of classic power pop seems to course through his veins. This is his 10th single in a year, and it's available as a download. It is of course a cover of the Ramones song from End of the Century. Next up, it's the track Ooh Baby Ooh by the Master Plan. The Dictator's utterly brilliant songwriter Andy Chernoff formed the Master Plan in the early 2000s with friends Keith Streng and Bill Milheiser of the Fleshtones. This is a cover of a 50s rocker by the Hollywood Flames. It's a garage rock perfection from the same school as the Flamin' Groovies. The guitar solo by Paul Johnson, guitarist from Waxing Poetics, is as perfect as anything Cyril Jordan has recorded. It's available only as a digital download on Rumbar Records. It should of course be available as a 7-inch, and better still, there should be an album. Next up, it's the Nervous Eaters and the track Superman's Hands, a Boston rock and roll band formed way back in the early 1970s with jangling Rickenbacker guitars and a catchy tune, What's Not to Like. Superman's Hands is at the moment a digital download, and it comes from the forthcoming album Monsters Plus Angels, which is due out on the 11th of November on the Wicked Cool label, and it'll be available on vinyl and CD, although actually the vinyl will be delayed possibly to January 2023. Moving on, we come to the track Philly Get Back, which I've uploaded to the Power Pop Shakers playlist, and this is by Ken Sharp, and it's taken from the digital album I'll Remember the Laughter, which contains no less than 50 tracks, and it's his 7th album. It was recorded mostly with guitarist Fernando Perdomo, and he's absolutely an ace musician. The odd guest also appears on the album. There's a couple of tracks with Rick Springfield and also Roger Manning, ex-Jellyfish. The quality of the songwriting and playing by Sharp and Perdomo is pretty impressive, I must say. And next up, it's Friends of Cesar Romero and the track Specter in Technicolor, and this is out as a digital single coupled with Summer Melts Faster. I can recommend the YouTube channel Friends of Cesar Romero if you're unaware of the prolific back catalogue of J. Waylon Porcupine. He started out in the 1990s with the Redmen and has released more than 11 albums I think now as under the title Friends of Cesar Romero. It's a travesty that most of his releases are only available as digital downloads. Lyrically and musically reminds me of Robert Pollard and Guided by Voices. The next track is by Dennis Tech, and it's Truck and Roll, and it comes from the album Long Before Day, which is available on CD on the Career Records label. He was guitarist with Radio Birdman, of course, and he's currently in absolutely vintage form. The guitar riff and solo on Truck and Roll just blew me away when I heard it. It has a countryish feel, which reminds me a bit of the Long Riders track Looking for Lewis and Clark. And next up, it's Muck The Mires and Beat Revolution, and that is at the moment a digital download by this Boston, Massachusetts garage band stalwarts. The band are signed to Dirty Water and Rumbar. It's got a real anthemic chorus and the match of anything they've done before, and it's the first taster from what will be their next album, Beat Revolution. Right, moving on, we come to the Dogmatics and Drop That Needle, which I've uploaded to the Power Pop Shakers playlist. I vaguely remember the Dogmatics from the 1980s when they put out a couple of albums on the Homestead label. Having reacquainted myself with the band on this CD EP on Rumbar, I want to hear more now. There's also a very nice shout out to Muck The Mires within the lyrics to this song. And moving along, we come to the track You've Got to Get Up by the Cowsills, and this is from their first album in nearly 30 years, Rhythm of the World, which is available now on Omnivore on CD. It's a clever updating of their signature sound with some power pop friendly guitars and Susan, Bob and Paul's sunshine pop lead and background vocals. They wrote all the songs too, and there's some skillful lyrics at play here. Also check out the Cowsills YouTube channel where they post some of their podcasts interviewing musicians such as Howard Kalen, Richie Furay, Tommy James, and also their brother John, who's currently the drummer in the touring version of the Beach Boys, and he does a fantastic lead vocal on the track Darling as well. Very talented band, and it's an absolute joy to have a new album by them. Okay, that's it for now. And so go over to the Power Pop Shakers playlist and you can listen to these and also the tracks from earlier episodes. I think there's over 250 tracks been posted now. And I will see you again with another video quite soon. So take care, everyone.